passenger seat with me. It is Passenger Seat Radio. It is June 30th, 2025, and my phone's sliding off the holder. And you're on my 13-mile commute home. Welcome to the show. All right, let me fix this real quick. All right. Yeah, I'm in the homeless alley right now, so you got to be careful. These guys will just jump right out in front of you. You might see some of them walking as I drive by. Hey, welcome everybody. Yeah, it's Monday, of course, one of my days in the office, and yeah, as you know, we do a show on Monday afternoon on the way home. So hello and welcome. I see somebody has joined. Hello, Mr. Pixel Rage. How are you? Nice to have live folks here. So yeah, I had just a couple of things I was going to talk about, and then I thought I might tell some old Navy stories, because that's always fun. Let me get the GPS going here and see which way it's going to take me. Yep, it's going to take me on Grand. Okay. Just a different way. All right, so a couple things I wanted to talk about. I started to pick up my fan down a little bit here. It's so loud. There we go. I started picking up the Looney Tunes collections on Blu-ray, and they've been at this for a little while now. And so Warner Archives, let me just move this again. I can tell I need to screw this down and tighten it up a little bit. Warner Archives have been painstakingly cleaning up and releasing Looney Tunes. That's like Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig, Foghorn Leghorn, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, have been releasing these on Blu-ray for a while. There's 4 volumes out in the original collection, and they just released something called The Vault number 1, right? So altogether, there's about 145 of these that are available on Blu-ray, not DVD, but Blu-ray, and they are painstakingly cleaned up and beautifully done. Now, I did not get involved for a few different reasons initially. Number one, they were a little bit too expensive, right? Listen, I've got rips from online. You know, some of them are watermarked. Who cares? But they were a little bit expensive when they first came out, and there was no way to buy like all 4 volumes at once. And I wasn't 100% sure that they weren't cut, right? Trimmed up, messed with, annotated. You know how it is these days. Everyone's offended by everything, and Looney Tunes has plenty of stuff to be offended by. So I kind of skipped them. Well, then I was reading a review on this Vault collection number 1, and they talked about you know their goal, and it was like an interview with one of the not animators, but one of the producers of the package. And they were really talking up how they wanted to preserve these things in their original format as best they could. And I kind of got inspired to try them out. So I ended up buying the 1 through 4 collection, which was like $38. So it was like $10 a disc. So that was nothing. That was good. And then the other collection, which was essentially, I think it was 3 discs in the vault, to add another 50 to the collection. So it wasn't that bad of a pricing, and I finally got around to ripping them all, naming them all, and I got really sucked in to these old Looney Tunes, and it's absolutely fantastic how I've got my favorites, right? Everybody who's big into Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny or whatever, we all have our favorites, and we tend to watch our favorites over and over again. I treat Star Trek, the original series, the same way. I've got like 20 episodes of that show that I really, really like, and those are the ones I watch over and over again. And so if you were to like randomly shuffle the 3 seasons, sometimes you'll get an episode, not that you haven't seen, but you haven't seen it in a really long time. So that's sort of how it is with Looney Tunes. I'll find a cartoon that I barely remember, but I love it, and I totally forgot about it. Hey. Oh, hey, Gus. How are you, man? Good to see you. I just got started, too, so you don't have to, wait for the replay. So it was really really nice to go back and see some of those older episodes. That's been really exciting to me to get back and kind of get back into the Looney Tunes thing. And again, Max took them all off, right? So there's no way to stream these things legit. And if you go up on YouTube or some of these other places to try to find them, forget about it. They're horrible. If you can barely watch them at all. So yeah, if this is probably a good time. If you're thinking about it, if you've ever thought about picking up those Looney Tunes on Blu-ray, this is probably a really good time to do it. Because God only knows, right? We don't know the future of physical media these days. Speaking of physical media, though, Knight Rider, which remember I talked about here on the show, Knight Rider came out, a German box set came out with all the episodes of Knight Rider, Team Knight Rider, the Knight Rider movies, along with all this cool shit. I did a video on it if you really want to see an unboxing and see all the cool shit that's in that box. It's pretty badass. And they restored the music, and they restored the cut episodes for syndication, blah, 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 blah. So it was really good. Well, now Universal announced Knight Rider 4K. First of all, who the fuck knew that was coming, right? Could the cash grab be any more obvious? But the question on everybody's mind is, what 4Ks are we going to get? And listen, you know me. I'm a fucking whore for Knight Rider. So yes, I pre-ordered it. $129, 4 seasons, every episode. But we do not know, is the original music there? Or is it going to have the syndicated cuts? What's the picture quality going to look like? Now, the good news about Knight Rider is there's no CGI in it. So there's really nothing to look bad on here. Now, we all know that there was some miniature use, and every now and then you see the miniatures. That doesn't always look so great. But for the most part, though, a 4K Knight Rider is going to look great. The question, of course, is what will it have on it, right? You know, I was thinking about something the other day, and I wanted to share it with you guys. This is one of those deep philosophical things. You ever watch, like, vampire movies or I'm talking real not stupid Twilight shit. I'm talking about, like real vampire stuff, like Anne Rice or, Nosferatu. Any one of these, like, legitimate sort of vampire books or one of the things that they talk about is that immortality and living forever is sort of it's a double-edged sword, right? So it can be great that you get to see all this shit, but it's also bad because the people you love grow old and die, sort of like from Highlander, right? Well, I was thinking about something that was sort of interesting to me. Like we all have some place we used to hang out when we were a kid, right? Some video arcade or some mall that we hung out at or something like that, right? A pizza place, like your favorite pizza parlor, used to meet for user group meetings, whatever. And they're gone, right? Most restaurants close. We've all seen the malls come and go. Fortunately, most people my age, we kind of stopped hanging out at malls. As we got older. So for us, malls were in their heyday when we were a kid. So that's what we did, right? We ran around the mall. But we all have, the house we grew up in got demolished and turned into a parking lot. Shit like that, right? We all have that stuff. But what happens when something huge just disappears? Something big in your life just up and vanishes. I was talking to somebody actually about my Navy experience, and I was telling stories from Orlando Naval Training Command, right? I spent a good amount of time in that facility in my late teens, right? Because I was in the Navy. Nuclear power school, everybody who goes through nuclear power school goes there. You go there for basic, you go there for A school, you go there for everything. And should you fail out of the nuclear program, like I did, you'll also spend temporary active duty time there. So, I spent probably 2.5, 3 years in Orlando Naval Training Command. And I went back to visit it after I had left the area and moved up to Georgia or something. I was down in the area, and I'd come back to visit. I looked up my old company commanders, blah, blah, blah. And this is not a small place. I mean, Orlando Training Command was fucking huge. I mean, a huge area. We're not talking about a couple of square blocks. This thing was huge. I mean, they had nuclear power school there. They had male and female basic training there. They had, I mean, so much stuff there. They had pass and review, right? That's when you guys go out with you do the choir and the drills with the rifles and all that shit, and all the big brass comes down and they come down and watch the new recruits. They had all that there. I mean, that Orlando Training Command was freaking huge. So I was kind of interested to look it up because I was thinking about maybe trying to get to Disney World. And I thought, it would be fun because, it's right there in Orlando, is to go kick around the old stomping grounds, right? Because, there were theaters and places that I went to, and Orange Blossom Trail. There's all this great stuff in Orlando. And that whole place is gone. Orlando Training Command, this big giant facility, it's not just shut down, it's gone. I mean, like, the whole place is gone. If you go and try to look at Google Maps or anything like that, and you try to look at Orlando Training Command, it's like it never existed. There's like a little tiny building with a plaque or something up front. That's it. That's kind of all that's left. And I was thinking to myself, that's kind of the shit part about, immortality, if you would. The older you get, I mean, people you love die, celebrities and grew up with die, right? All that sort of thing happens. But entire places can disappear. I mean, it's not like you just lost your local pizza place or the arcade's not there anymore. There was still a building there. That used to be the arcade. That used to be the Taco Bell. That used to be the Burger King. That used to be, that was the mall. It's still a mall, but now it's a strip mall, not a real mall. But it's gone. I mean, some place that you spent several of your formidable years, just gone. Just erased. And I was thinking, God, that's got to really suck monkey butt, if you were an immortal. Like, it's not just the people that you love and all that stuff, but entire cities could come and go. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of deep that someplace that could be so important to you, someplace that so fashioned who you were, just gone, wiped off the map. Kind of interesting. Anyway, I was thinking about, I was digging through movie posters, and I've got some movie poster Lightbox stuff to tell you about, but I was digging through, trying to find movie posters. I told you guys, I think, that my wife greenlit a big one for the living room, right? So I got the small one for my office, and my wife saw it from the living room, and she goes, "Oh my God, we need one for the living room." And I'm like, "No shit, really? It's $400, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, let's get one. Let's get one for the living room." So we got one for the living room, and I put all the, it was mostly my shit. I didn't put a lot of her stuff on because it was my frame that was in the office. And she's like, "Can you put TV stuff on here? Like TV?" And it's like, well, yeah, kind of, but TV shows don't typically have like theatrical posters, but they do have promotional materials. So if you look around, you can find some TV stuff. Well, one of the things that I couldn't find one that I liked was for The Greatest American Hero. Now, for those of you in my audience who have no fucking clue who The Greatest American Hero is, it'd be really difficult for me to recommend you go back and watch the show from the 80s because time has not been kind to the special effects, right? As much as I like to bitch about CGI, I would be totally willing, sort of like they did with Star Trek, the original series, go back and take the entire Greatest American Hero show and get the flying stuff. The flying sequences are unbelievably horrid, right? But the show itself, the concept of the show is unbelievable. And I cannot believe, isn't that funny? Scott Ballard was just talking about it. Oh, yeah, William Catt. So let me talk about this because I've got this all figured out. So for those of you who have no clue what The Greatest American Hero was, this special ed school teacher takes a bunch of his kids. Oh, I know, Connie Selick, I know. Takes his kids out to the desert to look at stars, right? On the way out, they meet this curmudgeon FBI agent in a restaurant, and one of the kids tries to throw down on him, and he's a badass, blah, blah, blah. So they kind of meet for a moment. But that's kind of it. Then they go out to the desert, and the bus breaks down. I mean, the bus loses all of its power. And somehow the FBI agent was out there too. He just lost his partner, so he's drowning himself in booze, whatever. And they meet out in the desert, and they're approached by a UFO. And the UFO tells them that they've been selected. The two of them have been selected for an important mission on Earth. They're going to give Ralph, the special ed teacher, a magic suit, superhero suit. And using Bill's FBI knowledge and skills and everything, the two of them are going to be partners, and they're going to help right the wrongs and solve injustices and save the world, basically. So they send down this little black box with this they call it the magic jammies, with this red suit that, I mean, it looks totally right out of like 60s comics, right? The aliens apparently have a sense of humor. And they send down a suit, and the suit has this instruction booklet in the box, basically, that tells them how to use all the superpowers of the suit. So neither one of them are really down for the idea. The FBI guy's like, fuck this, I work alone, I'm a badass. And so out in the desert, he's walking back to the bus. They split up, right? The FBI guy goes his way, and the teacher goes his way, and he loses the instruction booklet. And he has no idea where to look for it, blah, blah, blah. So now they have a magic suit, but they have no idea how to fucking use it. It's a brilliant concept. And so the show is, yes, Bill and Ralph are trying to solve crimes and stop international, ballistic missiles, blah, blah, blah. But they're always at odds with trying to figure out how to make the suit work. And it makes for a brilliant show because, you get the idea, right? I mean, they're constantly trying to figure the suit out, but, they're moderately successful with it. But anyway, and they really don't know exactly what the suit protects him from, right? They know it repels bullets, they know it repels fire, they know it does all this stuff, but they're never really completely sure, so they're afraid to send him out. There's some neo-Nazi group steals some horrible virus, right? And they don't know whether the suit will protect them from the virus. There's even an episode, this is like my favorite episode of the entire series, where Ralph and the kids, and it's kind of cool because, these days, superhero shows are a lot different. Superhero shows have to be like the superhero all the time, lots of explosions, lots of CGI, stupid jokes every 27 seconds, right? It's about the hero. And let's be honest, heroes are kind of boring in general. I mean, once you get past all the action and all that, but if you want a character build, Bruce Wayne's a lot more interesting than Batman is. Clark Kent's actually a lot more interesting than Superman is. You get the idea. Because they're flawed. They're, there's a character behind them. Well, same idea is with all the other superhero shows of that era. He only gets the suit on a couple of times an episode, right? Sometimes he wears it underneath, blah, blah, blah. But just watching him try to navigate this fucking suit's great. But the suit, by the way, is it's locked into his DNA. Nobody else can wear the suit. Bill can't wear the suit. These bikers catch him and they steal the suit, and they can't use the suit. There's some great stuff in there. Anyway, but my favorite episode, though, was Ralph and the kids, his special ed kids, are offered to go and strip this house before it gets demolished. And there's all sorts of great shit in there. They're going to sell it and buy it their school like a school present, right, for graduation. This house is supposedly haunted. There's some weird shit going on. Well, what it turns out is this house is inhabited by a ghost, right? And the ghost actually, there's a portal inside the house which leads to another dimension that sits adjacent to the house. And the spirit can travel back and forth. And, of course, when Ralph's got the suit on, he can see the portal and he can even go into the portal. But the portal between the two worlds is protected by this thing called the Beast in Black. And you don't get to really see it, which is what makes it great, right? I mean, it's just like Jaws. If you'd seen the shark all the time, it'd be like, who gives a shit? But this Beast in Black is like, it's like a giant black panther. You get to see the eyes, and Ralph gets his ass kicked, even though he's wearing the suit, blah, blah, blah. It's a really great episode. Bill gets possessed. But I was thinking about this show, and it's like, how could you not? Okay, first off, we know that these motherfuckers will reboot or reimagine anything, right? And this is like a ripe story. Now that they can do the effects right and all that stuff, they'll still fuck it up. But you think to yourself, God, there's so much we could do with this today. Like just a straight up remake of it, right? But you know they're going to fuck it up. You know that. So you're sitting there thinking, God, I would love to see this happen again. But at the same time, I don't want to see it happen because you know they're going to fuck it up. And in fact, there was at least a draft somewhere going around that they were going to remake The Greatest American Hero with an Indian woman as the main character that gets the suit. Come on, man. Come on, man. So anyway, so I was thinking about, like, could you bring it back without fucking it up? And I was thinking to myself, you know what, you could. Here's how you do it, because William Katt's still alive. He's getting a little up there, but William Katt, the guy who played Ralph, is still alive. He did have a son in the show. Kind of seeing where I'm going with this. Now, you guys know I don't like this passing off, Holt handing the baton shit over. Hey now, Javier. What's up, man? So here's how you could do it. Okay, so the aliens told Ralph that if he rejected the suit, that the suit in 2 weeks would deactivate itself, right? And no harm, no foul, go on with your life. So in my continuation, my sequel, my re-imaging of this, not even a re-imaging, it's a sequel. So Ralph decides, and by the way, Robert Culp, who played Bill, he's been dead for a while, so you're not getting Bill back. But William Katt's good to go. So here's what happens in my version. We're going to forget all about this Greatest American Heroine shit, because they tried to pass it off to some chick, and it was an embarrassing pilot. They should have never done it. So I'm going to do what all good sequels should do, is forget like the last nonsense shit of the series. We're going to go back to the basics. So here's what happened in my version. Ralph decided, he and Bill decided they had enough. They don't want to do the Greatest American Hero shit anymore. So they take the suit out to the desert, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and they just leave it there. And Pam and Ralph go on. They got the kid. They go on and have their own life. Bill goes back to the FBI, does his shit, and, you know, that's where the show really ended. Now, here's how my tie-in works. Stay with me here. The government has found the suit in the desert. They bring it back to the lab because it's like, what the fuck is this? They bring it back to the lab. And it's deactivated, right? Because the aliens said once Ralph was done with it, they would deactivate it. It's deactivated. But the government figures out a way, I'm working on this part of it. The government's figured out a way to reactivate the suit. It's turned back on now. And they can tell it's emitting something, midichlorians, fucking whatever. They can tell that the suit's on, but it doesn't do anything. And of course it doesn't do anything because it is programmed to Ralph's DNA. So the government, because Ralph was exposed at the end of the series. He was exposed as the Greatest American Hero. But that's part of the Greatest American heroin piece. So we got to scrap that through, I don't know, pick whatever, AI, whatever you want. They figure out that they found these reports of this flying guy running around in red pajamas. They figure out it's him. They run him down and they drag his ass to Los Alamos or wherever the fuck it is that they've got the suit. And they're like, what the fuck? And Ralph's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. The suit, blah, blah, blah. You know, this is like a two-parter here, right? So they get this, he says, and the government says, you wore this suit and you were flying and shit. So what's the deal? And Ralph's like, you know, it's deactivated. I got rid of it in the desert. The aliens turned it off. And then, you know, they're like, well, we turned it back on. And Ralph's like all incredulous, you know, but he's an old man now, right? So he ain't gonna be running around in the suit. And they're like, and he's like, so why can't we use the suit? Why? Because it's programmed to me, to my DNA. Well, you see where I'm going with this. Ralph's son is like, you know, 30 years old. Prime time, baby. So Ralph calls the boy, brings him to Los Alamos or wherever, has him try on the suit, and it's enough. There's enough DNA for his kid that the suit actually works. But they still have no instruction booklet, and they're using the suit without the aliens' permission at this point, right? So there's at least 2 or 3 seasons of shenanigans that we can get into with the suit, with Ralph being the elder statesman, helping the son learn how to use the suit, right? I mean, you can see where I'm going with this. This could be a good show, and you don't have to erase fucking everything that came before it. Well, outside of the Greatest American Heroine thing, but you don't have to erase the legacy of Greatest American Hero. It can still be there. You know, William Katt can still be a major part of it. You know, he's the Devin Miles of it. They did. So this is great. So it was asked in the channel. I think these chats live with the show. So, yes. So the aliens come back a couple of times, right? And so they come back the first time, and they bring Ralph up, and you know, they're having this confab with him, and he's like, yeah, by the way, I lost the instruction book. And so the aliens give him another one. They give him a replacement manual as they drop him back off on Earth. So he's got the manual, and you're thinking, holy shit, we're going to see some shit now. And so he gets the manual, and he's got the suit on. He puts the manual on this rock, and he's flipping through it, reading the stuff. And it's like, you know, the ability to shrink. And so he's got the book. He's walking around with it, and he does whatever it is that he has to do, and he shrinks to the size of like an ant with the book. The problem is he puts the book down on a rock and then reverses it. And now the book is like the size of a grain of sand or some shit, and he can't remember how to get back there. Even if he could, he couldn't find it. So once again, like within a fucking 1 episode of getting the instruction manual back, he's lost the instruction manual again. I guess somebody figured out that it's much more interesting to have a magic suit that you don't know how to make it work versus one where you do. And then the aliens come back again to fuck with him about something or another. And he's like, you know, I lost the instruction booklet again. And the aliens are like, dude, we gave you not 1, but 2. So you're on your own. So he never got the instruction book back. So there's a whole bunch of things we could do with this. I mean, and I was thinking, you know, God, there's a lot of things like this that it's not quite too late. You know, there's some things that are too late. We can't like Knight Rider. I'm not sure we could. Yeah, we could bring Hoff back as like the Devin Miles, and they sort of tried to do that. Interstellar travel, but have to have hardbound copies. It's a union thing. Absolutely. But yeah, so I was thinking about that. Tons of ways we could do it. And we could bring the show back and do it right. We still have the actors, at least one of them. I don't know what Connie Selica's up to these days. I mean, she's still alive. And I'm assuming her and Ralph are still married. But you know what? Might be better if they're not. Sort of like getting rid of Bonnie Bedelia on Die Hard, right? It's probably better if Pam's not around. And let's be honest. Connie Selica was super hot, but she's probably aged out. Come on, let's be honest. So here's what we're gonna do, because I know Javier's here. We're gonna get Ralph Hinckley's kid. Is it Tommy? His kid's name's Tommy? I can't remember. We're gonna have him, but he's gonna be married to Sydney Sweeney. There you go. That's how you're gonna get the hot chick back on the show. And you know Sydney will do it. So she'll come and do the show. She'll be the new Pam, right? I love it. But you can't fucking kill Ralph off. Don't do that stupid shit. Let Ralph be a regular on the show. I'm sure William Catt would do it if the script was right and the money was right, of course. I don't know what he's up to these days, but it can't be much. Let's get his ass. He doesn't have to go running around doing special effects or anything, right? I mean, he's an old guy now. Let him be the elder statesman. Let him be the Bill. There was a really interesting episode of that, and I'm not sure, and I'm positive we could use it again in this new series. They get approached. Bill and Ralph get approached by this old guy in a wheelchair, and he's got like a butler that pushes him around, and the guy's like a gajillionaire, and he like kidnaps Ralph and the suit and Bill and drags them back to like this hangar. And it turns out that the guy in the wheelchair and his butler, they had a suit. They were a team prior to Bill and Ralph, and they had a suit and they pissed it away. He used it for personal gain. The aliens took it away from him. He ended up with like fucking what's the bit where after you smoke, emphysema, right? He's all fucked up, but he fucked up because he used the suit for personal gain. But you could have that sort of thing happen again. Finding other people that had suits. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff we could do with it. All right, listen, I'm almost home. Hope you enjoyed the show. Shane R. Monroe, Pastors Radio. We'll see you next time. Take care.